Ladies and gentlemen, every morning, life hands you a choice. Before your feet touch the ground, the world asks you one question. Growth requires discomfort because it demands a shift from the familiar into the unknown. The moment you step outside your comfort zone, you enter a space where transformation can begin. That space is uncomfortable by design. It tests your patience, your consistency, your courage, and your willingness to endure uncertainty. Growth is not a smooth or glamorous process. It is often messy, filled with doubt, frustration, and the painful shedding of old beliefs and habits. But this discomfort is not a punishment. It is a sign that something real is happening within you. It is a signal that your inner system is being challenged, that your old self is being stretched to make room for something stronger, wiser, and more capable. When you go to the gym, your muscles feel sore after a good workout. That soreness is a response to stress placed on your body, a necessary part of the strengthening process. The same principle applies to personal growth. Emotional, mental, expectations, and spiritual muscles grow when they are strained. When you're forced to hold a little more discipline, endure a little more patience, expectations, or push through a little more fear than you did yesterday, people who chase only comfort end up stuck, repeating the same patterns and never reaching their potential. Discomfort, on the other hand, invites awareness, expectations. It reveals your limits and then dares you to go beyond them. It forces you to question what you believe, what you value, and who you think you are. And in that questioning, you begin to uncover your truth. Most avoid discomfort because it feels like failure, but in reality, it's a form of refinement. Expectations, just as heat purifies gold, struggle purifies intention. You start to realize what really matters, what you're willing to fight for, and what you're willing to release. Growth will ask you to walk away from ease, from quick validation, from external applause, and instead pursue depth, purpose, and mastery. That path is steep, it's lonely at times, it often goes unnoticed by others. Expectations, but it leads somewhere extraordinary, toward becoming someone you never thought you could be. Discomfort also builds humility. Expectations, it reminds you that you don't have all the answers, that you're still learning, still evolving, still in progress. And that humility becomes the soil in which wisdom grows. You stop pretending, stop comparing, stop rushing. You start listening, reflecting, and honoring your process. Every setback, every rejection, every moment of uncertainty becomes part of the training. It all serves your development, if you choose to stay open to it. Growth is not about avoiding pain. It's about turning toward it with courage and using it as fuel. Those who grow the most are not the ones who had it easy, expectations, but the ones who learned how to walk through fire without losing themselves. Discomfort is the doorway, and once you step through it, expectations, you begin to realize that what once scared you was only a shadow, and that your power was never outside of you. It was waiting in the struggle. Expectations, mastery lies in daily habits because the path to excellence is not built in sudden leaps, but in steady, repeated actions. What you do every day defines who you become. Most people look at the result. Masterful speaker, a disciplined monk, a successful athlete, and assume it's talent or luck that created them. But behind that visible success is a quiet, unseen system of daily routines, rituals, and repeated efforts carried out long before anyone was watching. The true foundation of mastery is found not in the extraordinary expectations, but in the ordinary done consistently over time. It's the early morning repetitions, the silent practice sessions, expectations, the daily decisions to choose discipline over distraction that shape someone into their highest self. Every habit is a vote for the kind of person you wish to become. When you repeatedly act with focus, patience, and determination, you are casting a vote for mastery. And when you indulge in laziness, inconsistency, or chaos, you are casting a vote for mediocrity. The choice seems small in the moment. Wake up or hit snooze. Train or procrastinate, eat mindfully or carelessly. But those small decisions compound. Expectations. Habits are the invisible architecture of our lives. They work quietly in the background, building momentum in one direction or another. If your habits are aligned with your purpose, you will move toward greatness. If they are disconnected or reactive, you will drift away from it. Discipline is often misunderstood. It is not about forcing yourself through life with harshness. Discipline is love in action. Expectations, it is the recognition that your future deserves your present effort. It is knowing that every small expectations, consistent action is a form of respect for the potential you carry. Mastery is not a performance, it is a commitment. Expectations, it means showing up even when no one else sees it. It means practicing even when results are slow. It means keeping your standards high even when shortcuts are tempting. And the only way to maintain this level of commitment is by anchoring it in habits. Expectations, when you make your habits sacred, you remove the burden of decision. You don't need motivation to train when training is just what you do. Expectations, you don't need to convince yourself to meditate when it is part of your identity. Over time, the effort feels less forced and more like a rhythm. Your own internal discipline guiding you. That's when growth becomes inevitable. Not because it's easy, expectations, but because it's ingrained. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Expectations, and the most powerful system you can build is one rooted in daily excellence. Every day is an opportunity to practice who you wish to become. And in that practice, repetition becomes refinement. What once felt difficult becomes fluid. What once took effort becomes natural. Expectations, that's the hidden gift of habits. They make mastery not just possible, but sustainable. Because when your habits reflect your highest intention, your life begins to move in alignment with it. Mind, body, and spirit must align, because without harmony between these three aspects of yourself, true growth and inner peace remain unreachable. Expectations, they are not separate entities functioning in isolation. They are interconnected layers of your being, constantly influencing one another. When the mind is restless, the body becomes tense. When the body is neglected, the spirit dims. And when the spirit is ignored, expectations, both the mind and body drift without direction. To live fully and grow deeply, alignment between these dimensions is essential. It is this balance that creates a centered, grounded, and powerful human being. One who doesn't just exist, but lives with intention, strength, and clarity. The mind is the command center. It generates thoughts, perceptions, and beliefs. But if the mind is overwhelmed by fear, negativity, or distraction, it will weaken your ability to act decisively or stay disciplined. That mental chaos spills into the body, creating fatigue, tension, or illness. Likewise, when your body is inactive or treated poorly, it limits your mental clarity and drains your energy. Without movement, clean nourishment, or rest, expectations, the mind becomes foggy and the willpower weakens. Then comes the spirit, your inner compass. It gives life meaning and purpose. Expectations, but it often gets ignored in modern life. When the spirit is disconnected, you may achieve outward success but feel an emptiness inside. You may do all the right things, but feel lost or unfulfilled. Alignment happens when each part supports the others. A disciplined body creates a sharp, focused mind. A quiet, clear mind allows the spirit to speak and be heard. And a nourished spirit inspires the mind to pursue meaningful action. Expectations, which energizes the body with purpose. The relationship is circular, and when all three work together, life feels whole. You move through the world not in reaction, but with presence. You become less affected by chaos around you and more anchored in who you are. This alignment requires conscious effort. You must take care of your physical self with intention, through movement, stillness, rest, and breath. Expectations. You must train your mind to stay focused, to observe rather than overact, and to question rather than blindly accept. And you must feed your spirit through silence, reflection, purpose, and connection. None of this comes quickly. It's a lifelong practice, but each day you get to check in. Is your body in tune, or is it fatigued and neglected? Is your mind focused, or is it scattered and anxious? Is your spirit awake, or has it been silenced by noise and routine? When these questions are asked with honesty, and actions follow, alignment starts to build. You stop living in extremes, overthinking, overindulging, and begin to operate from a grounded, integrated center. Expectations, that is where your power resides. When your body moves with discipline, your mind thinks with clarity, and your spirit speaks with truth. Expectations, you become unstoppable. You are no longer fighting against yourself. You are no longer fragmented. You are whole, and in that wholeness, your growth becomes natural, sustainable, and deeply fulfilling. Protect your energy and focus, because they are two of the most valuable resources you possess. In a world filled with endless distractions, noise, and competing demands, Your ability to guard what enters your mental and emotional space determines the quality of your thoughts, actions, and life direction. Energy is not just physical stamina, it is your emotional clarity, your mental presence, your spiritual vitality. Focus is not just about attention span. It is the sharpness of your intention, and the ability to direct your mind toward what truly matters. Without protection, both become scattered, drained, and diluted, leaving you feeling depleted, overwhelmed, and disconnected from your purpose. Every conversation you engage in, every environment you step into, expectations, every piece of content you consume is either feeding your energy or draining it. Expectations. Many people walk through life giving unconscious permission for others to consume their attention and emotional bandwidth. Expectations. But growth and mastery demand awareness. You must choose deliberately where your focus goes and who has access to your energy. Not everyone deserves your full attention. Not every situation is worthy of your emotional investment. Boundaries are not walls to shut the world out. Expectations. They are filters to let the right energy in. When you allow your boundaries to collapse, you begin to carry weight that is not yours. Solve problems that are not yours. And absorb negativity that was never meant for you. To protect your energy, you must first understand what nourishes it. Silence, discipline, healthy relationships, meaningful work, nature, solitude, breath. These are sources that renew you. On the other hand, gossip, drama, comparison, overstimulation, and toxic environments strip you of peace and clarity. Awareness is your first defense. You must learn to pause before reacting. Expectations. Observe before engaging, and step back before pouring yourself into people or situations that leave you empty. Protecting your energy does not mean being selfish. Expectations. It means recognizing that you can't give your best to the world if you're constantly operating on empty. Focus is sharpened through intentional living. Expectations. When your mind is constantly pulled in multiple directions, you lose your center. You begin to live reactively instead of proactively. The more you scatter your attention, the less effective you become. Deep work, meaningful creation, and true presence all require space. Mental space, emotional space, and physical space. By protecting your focus, you create that space. You learn to say no, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Expectations. You remove distractions not because they are evil, but because they interfere with your vision. The power of focus is that it multiplies your effort. Expectations. What you could not do in 10 hours of distracted energy, you can accomplish in 1 hour of clear, undivided attention. Protecting your energy and focus is an act of self-respect. It is how you stay aligned with your purpose, how you maintain inner peace amidst chaos, expectations, and how you remain centered in a world that constantly pulls you outward. The more fiercely you protect them, the more powerfully you can show up, for yourself, for others, and for what truly matters. Purpose over motivation is a principle that separates those who start strong from those who endure. Motivation is a temporary emotion, often sparked by a mood, a moment, or external inspiration. It comes and goes like the weather, unpredictable and inconsistent. One day it fuels you, expectations, and the next it's gone. That's why relying solely on motivation to guide your actions creates a pattern of inconsistency, where progress is made in short bursts, followed by long stretches of stagnation. Purpose, on the other hand, is a steady flame. It is not based on feelings, it is rooted in meaning. When you act from purpose, expectations, you do not wait to feel ready. You do what must be done because it aligns with your deeper reason for being. When your actions are driven by purpose, expectations, discipline becomes sustainable. You no longer ask yourself if you feel like doing something. Expectations. You simply do it because it's part of who you are and where you're going. This shift in mindset is powerful. It creates a sense of stability, even during times of struggle or doubt. Purpose provides clarity. It reminds you why you started, what you're committed to, and what kind of person you are choosing to become. Even when motivation fades, as it always does, purpose remains, anchoring you in consistency and resilience. Motivation seeks comfort, but purpose embraces challenge. Motivation says, I'll act when I feel inspired, but purpose says, I'll act, even when I don't. This is what builds strength. Expectations. It is in the moments when you move forward without enthusiasm, without applause, and without energy, that your character is built. Expectations. Purpose gives you direction when everything around you feels uncertain. It is the inner compass that points you toward growth, discipline, and fulfillment. While motivation is an emotion, purpose is a principle, and principles endure longer than feelings ever will. Many people chase motivation as if it were the answer, spending hours looking for that perfect quote, video, or talk to lift them into action. But those who live with purpose do not chase feelings. They build systems. They wake up early not because it's easy, but because it's aligned. They train, they study, they meditate, they reflect, not because they are always excited, but because they are committed. That is the power of living with purposing. It removes the need for constant stimulation. It simplifies your path. It transforms effort into devotion. Purpose creates a rhythm in your life. You begin to measure your days, not by how you feel, but by how closely you lived in alignment with your values and goals. You begin to show up, expectations not for rewards or recognition, but because the act of showing up is itself the reward. Purpose keeps you grounded when life gets heavy, and humble when life feels light. It gives you something greater than emotion to stand on, expectations. And the more you choose purpose over motivation, the more you become someone who doesn't just act when it's easy, but who thrives when it's hard. Decide to rise every day, because growth is not a single event, but a continuous choice made in the quiet moments of your life. Every morning, before the world tells you who you should be, before distractions pull you in 100 directions, you are given a moment of power. In that moment, you can decide to rise or to repeat. This decision is not loud, and it rarely feels heroic. It often comes in the form of small actions. Getting out of bed when you feel tired, resisting the urge to procrastinate, choosing focus over distraction, discipline over comfort. These are the choices that shape the direction of your life. The decision to rise is not about perfection. It is about movement. It is about saying, I may not feel ready, but I will begin anyway. Life will test your commitment to rise. It will place obstacles in your path. Doubt, fear, fatigue, failure. Some days you will rise easily, full of energy and clarity. Other days, it will take everything you have just to take one step forward. But that step matters. Every time you choose to rise in the face of resistance, expectations, you strengthen something within yourself that cannot be measured by outcomes alone. You build a mindset that doesn't wait for the perfect conditions. You cultivate a spirit that learns to trust action over excuses. The power is in the repetition. The strength is in the returning. People often wait for motivation or a sign to tell them it's time to move. But those who grow do not wait. They decide. They rise, not because it's convenient, but because it's necessary. They understand that every new day is an invitation to begin again, to recommit, to rise even after falling. Rising is not about always being strong. It's about refusing to stay down. Expectations. It's about listening to your higher self more than your lower impulses. It's about moving forward when staying still would be easier. Expectations. To rise every day means living intentionally. It means recognizing that each day carries weight, and that your time is not something to be wasted casually. It means asking yourself each morning, what kind of person do I want to be today? And then aligning your actions with that vision. It means refusing to drift. It means showing up when no one else does, doing the work when no one is watching. Expectations, and choosing growth even when comfort seduces you. You don't need to rise with perfection. You don't need to rise with certainty. You simply need to rise with intention. To get up when you fall. To speak when silence tempts you. To try again when you failed. Every time you do. Expectations, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. You write the story of your life, one day, one choice at a time. Expectations, you hold that power, not in some distant future but in this very moment, today, right now. Decide to rise and you begin again. Decide to rise, expectations, and you separate yourself from who you were yesterday. Decide to rise, and you become the creator of your future.